Yes, 2.0 buyout, 150K to go ahead and retire early. Let's talk about it. Now, for the record, I am on break, so let's get that out of the way. But yeah, UPS, straight from corporate this morning, went ahead and announced that they're offering any driver, regardless of the amount of time you've been with the company, 150,000 to retire early and walk away from UPS. What this really is UPS is looking to do layoffs now because we are union. Drivers in those positions are safe, and we are the ones that make the most out of any position within the company as far as labor. This year, UPS is looking to downsizing 30,000 employees from the current 300,000 union members that are in the United States. What this means. Now, what I think is that UPS in the long run is looking to eventually step away from the union so that way that they can hire cheaper labor to do the positions that we do here, i.e. drivers, and not having to pay us what they pay us at top rate. If UPS can cut down drivers to say under 2/3 after all these buyouts are said and done, eventually UPS could step away from the union and have cheaper labor like FedEx or Amazon to do what we do out here. But because we're unionized, that's really hard for UPS to be able to maneuver and pull off in this given time. Now, 150,000, pretty nice. I've been with the company 4 years. I am 27 years old, and my health and body is still where I need it to be to perform doing this job day in and day out. But for somebody that might be older, maybe 40, 50, body might be starting to kind of throw some check engine lights or whatever, or you're just looking to retire early, or maybe you even have a business on the side and you want to invest that money into your business and try to do something, I could see you wanting to take the 150,000.
It sounds good when you're younger, right? Because a lot of times people feel like they got forever, or they looking at their current situation, or how the fact that their back is not hurting or their knees are not hurting, and so they basically continue to trade in their time for money, which we all do to an extent. But you have to understand that everything you do at that time will eventually probably come back to haunt you, which is one of the reasons why a lot of people like to pivot out of their current situation into something a little bit differently. And whenever they get the opportunity to take a buyout, sometimes they take it. Now, we were all talking about this less than a year ago about the fact that the union had negotiated historic wages for drivers in UPS. Now, UPS is looking to get rid of 30,000 people company wide across the board, no specific position. If they could, they would actually try to eliminate more drivers than anything, because one of the things that we see happening with other companies, and make no mistake about it, Amazon is the leader in this. Amazon is transitioning into spending billions, and I mean billions upon billions, on physical AI, basically trying to solve for the last mile, the delivery of the products, because they've already started to implement and solve for what happens inside of the warehouse, not having to need as many employees, transitioning against having so much turnover and depending on people that are late or sick or call out or destroy packages or steal or any of that type of stuff. And so they've already started to transition away from having to depend on people physically inside of their warehouses. Of course, you're always going to need people. You're going to need maintenance, service, especially people that understand AI, machine learning, and AI machines and all of that type of stuff. But as far as the actual, I can hire anybody off the street, train them within a couple days, and have them doing a job, they're starting to eliminate that. They've already transitioned with their trucks and their fleets into electric vehicles, which saves them a ton of money. It saves them in maintenance because you have thousands of less parts that you have to worry about. It saves them in oil changes, gas, fuel. That's massive when you're talking about tens of thousands of delivery drivers all across the United States of America. And then you also have to figure out how to solve for the final delivery, which obviously they're trying to roll out a bevy of different options. And you have to deal with all of the requirements from the state level, the federal level, the local level, passing all of those laws. But basically, what you're seeing is UPS is still going to have to compete against that. UPS is still going to have to compete against FedEx. UPS, for the sake of conversation, has still got to compete against the United States Postal Service because that is funded by the federal government because they've never turned a profit, right? Even though it's its own entity, they've never turned a profit. So when you talk about this final buyout, this offer that they're offering, 150,000, they're not even considering that people like this is going to take it unless they either A, on their last leg, or B, have already got something popping off and they've been looking to quit for a long time and they just looking for something to just get them out the door. They're using this as an incentive for natural attrition. Again, he kind of got it right. If you were already about to retire, if you already had something going on, if you just got there and you don't like the job, whatever it is, they're looking to push you out the door. Now, is $150,000, of course, you know you're going to get taxed at the highest rate because it's going to be a one-time payout. You'll probably take home less than 100 of it. Is that a lot of money considering how much money that they make per year? Absolutely not. But is it a lot of money considering that if you are already looking to get out of there, because I've known people that worked at companies and they knew that they wasn't going to stay, but then they had heard or the little birdie had caught in their ear, oh man, the company might get bought out, or there may be buyouts, or there may be a severance package, and they just stuck around a little bit longer because they're like, you know what, I might as well catch that buyout because I was going to quit anyway, right? So it's a lot of caveats in there to think about when you're talking about quitting a job for $150,000, which, again, for a lot of people, that sound like life-changing money. When you've already adjusted your lifestyle to it, and it's not a lot of jobs that you can just go outside and just get $150,000 off of, it's a little bit different.
Personally, I'm going to wait. I feel like it's a matter of time before UPS offers more. If you think about it, if they want to start offering $300,000 to $500,000, maybe even close to $1 million,
they'll never offer you $1 million. They'll never offer you $1 million. I don't know what he's smoking on this. I was with him up until this. They'll never offer you $1 million in order to get you up out of there.
Ever. To retire and walk away from UPS and the union, that would be something to consider. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's a lot of money to just walk away and retire. Hear me out. In the grand scheme of things, yes, $300 to $500 to maybe even $1 million per driver to retire sounds like a lot. But for a company that makes billions every year, you bite the bullet now, you're able to make more money in the long run by hiring cheaper labor. So mark my words, it's just a matter of time before UPS throws out another offer for a buyout, and possibly one after that. And the figures are going to be higher. You start talking that kind of money, that's a way that you could take your life in a different direction. Start up a business, get an LLC, do something to where maybe you could become an entrepreneur if you're smart and want to invest your money properly to let your money work for you and take your life in a different career path. Me, at this age, with a wife, 2 kids, and a future that I'm trying to build, $150K just to walk away after 4 years being with the company isn't going to come close to what I could make in the long term with this company.
The smart people already got other things in the fire. They already got other businesses. Maybe not the drivers have other jobs, but you know, you already got other jobs. You already got other stuff in motion. So when an opportunity presents itself, you out the door anyway. So that's kind of how I kind of lived my life and why I retired in 2019 when I was 37 years old, because I already had so much motion in my businesses and different things that I was going. And then I had content creation on top of that I was like, you know what? I really might really be able to make a dent in this thing. And it just kind of took off from there. And so I wasn't worried about it. Then I got drawn back into corporate America because they made me a crazy offer. But then that offer had to fit in with what I was already doing. Now it's in a space where everybody got to go back into the office and stuff. And so I'm never doing that again. I'm done. But the point is that, you know, everything has its price, but you should already have irons in the fire and not looking to spin something up as a result of getting a buyout if that was something that you was looking to do in the first place.
I.e., 150K is just a little bit more than what we make a year at top rate. So my question to you, 150K, would you take it or would you wait to see if UPS wants to offer more? UPS drivers, Teamsters, members, let me know.
I'm not taking the UPS buyout. I've only been at UPS for 10 years. I don't have enough in retirement to take the buyout. Now, that being said, I don't think I would take it anyway because I love my job. I really love what I do. It's so much fun. I love all of my customers. I love my dogs the most. And it's just I really do think that this is the job that I'm like meant to do, which seems silly because to most people it's just delivering packages, but it's so much more than that. It's so much more than just taking a box and delivering it onto your porch. It's you have to think about the logistics, the stop count, the way that your truck is on the street. You have to really think ahead like 20 stops to make sure that you're doing it correctly. There's a lot more to this than most people think. And not only that, but it's extremely taxing on your body. So all the people that are like, just take the money and run and da-da-da-da, or the people in my comments that are saying that I get paid too much just to deliver boxes, bro, if you're doing a job that requires that much physical labor and it's that difficult on your body, you should be getting paid for it. You're literally destroying your body. So I'm sorry, but I'm pretty stoked with the amount of money that I make. If you don't like the amount of money that you make, go find a different job.
Yeah, you can't demonize people because they was able to negotiate a contract that worked out for them, which shows you how fickle people are. Because they'll turn against you because they're not you, or they're not making the type of money that you make, or because they know what type of money that you make. And so a lot of times you may have to leave that out of there unless that's just a part of your brand. But I don't know. You guys let me know what you think inside of the comments. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon.
I like that video, man. I'm taking the money, man. Personally, only for the reason because I personally got things going on outside of the work environment, so I'm confident I will be okay. Now, that's not everybody else's situations. I think for the ideal person, man, I think the person who should take the money is people that are in overwhelming amounts of debt that literally just got into. If it doesn't matter how long you've been there, if you've only been there 6 months to a year, and you got debt that you need to pay, and what you're making monthly just isn't pretty much scratching the surface, like you're still just stuck at minimum payments, okay, you should take the money. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you're trying to advance your life, in the next 3 to 5 years. If you're trying to own a home, I will take the money. If you have other skills, like you know that you could get a job and make close to the same amount of money, I'll take the money. I would 100% start setting myself up to take that money because cash is king. But if you're in the middle, 5 to 7 years, 5 to 10 years, 5 to 15 years, and you're stable, meaning you haven't put yourself in a situation financially, I wouldn't take the money, especially considering the fact that you're already making 150K over the course of 12 months. So it's just like, it just to me, it just doesn't make any sense for those people. But 100%, if you got a business, if you're making money, if you know how to survive outside of that, and a cash app will really help you get to the next step in your life, and you're going to take the money and apply it towards what you're supposed to apply it toward, not just get the money and just, go crazy, I guess. Take the money. Now, he did make a point, you know what I'm saying? The 300,000 to $1 million, that might actually happen. I don't know why they're offering this money. I don't know if they're getting close to bankrupt and they got to start getting, offloading people because they're looking at their long-term financials. And in terms of, competing with other companies, FedEx, DHL, USPS, these days, goddamn Amazon, who's delivering pretty much. I think Amazon, for the most part, delivering everything that. Anyways, I think that they're getting nervous, and I think that they're trying to do right by the people. I think that USPS has always done right by the people. That's why, people are getting these jobs at UPS, and staying. But I think that they're probably looking at their long-term financials, and they're probably looking at their competitors, staying aggressive on their pricing. And they're like, how are we going to maintain this long-term, as a private entity, not as a government-funded company? But that's all I got, man. If you guys, got any comments on that, man, let's talk about it in the comment section, man. Until next time.